Dears of Granny here. A couple videos back, you might remember that I was talking about me covering so much ground in my commute to work. I believe I said I covered about 2.5 hours, but this was only going to work. So we would wake up at 3:30 for us to hit the highway at 4. Then I would drop her off before me going into work at 6 and being there about 2 hours to an hour and a half earlier than everybody else. Keep in mind that I was the one living the furthest and the one to report to work first. I did take pride in that, and it's kind of scary to think that all the while when I was drinking, I was still showing up to work on time. On top of that, it worked different there, whereas in other jobs, your directs will pick who they want to promote. There, they gave everybody else say, the whole staff say, of who they wanted to be promoted, and whenever it came time to do so, everyone pointed the finger at me and said, give it to him. And that happened multiple times. And so it's not as the alcohol was really,
nobody noticed that you were drinking.
Yeah, and it's not as though it was beating me, because I was still able to function.
I mean, all you had was a 40 ounce. You're a big
Yeah.
guy, so.
And so it's not as though I was just doing the bare minimum. I was actually
And
doing
wore
well.
off by the time you even started working,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because I would.
still felt a little bit.
Yeah. Also, I didn't drink on the way there. I would pull up to work, and then before pulling in, I would stop at a gasoline station, get me a 40, go to work, drink it there, and then I had a key card that I had access to the facility, and so there, by the time I even went in, I was already done drinking.
Yeah.
And so I would go there and ease into my day. By the time the second person showed up, I was kind of already, I was already waning off. And so,
now, if you had a couple more of those, it probably would show.
oh yeah, if I kept on going, for sure. But that's how I would do pretty much. I wasn't doing that every day, but if you
weren't doing that every day?
It's fair to say every other day. Every other day, yeah. Because I've never been a drinker, an everyday drinker, but rather once in a while. Not once in a while, once every other day or so. And so I did that, and then leaving from there to go home, I would do everything in reverse. So I would leave there, go pick her up.
That would take the longest.
That would take the longest. Then I would, then I would get home. Sometimes, believe it or not, 3.5 hours. Worse was 4 hours to get home. And so when it was all said and done, on the weekends I'd be so beat from the commute that I didn't want to even drive anywhere.
It's understandable.
I wouldn't say it was starting to make me a grump, but I definitely didn't want to be out and about, because I was putting in 40 hours at work, but I was almost doing that much in hours in driving. So it was a lot. When I did the math, it came out to be about, enough ground to cover the world twice. Yeah, that's a lot. And
a lot of wear and tear on the
whenever a lot of wear and tear. And so thankfully I didn't have too many car issues
until the very end.
Until the very end.
And we didn't do anything to fix
it. And so that drive definitely had me a bit weathered, but I thought I'd be smart and get me a van, and I made it to where I can sleep in the van.
That was fun.
And and I didn't want my coworkers to know, so I kept it hush. I didn't tell anybody, because knowing my coworkers, they would have told me, "You don't have to do all that. Just stay with me." Because one might look at that situation as an unfortunate one, but I was thriving in it. I actually favored it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It might have not been too good for your. What was it? Wasn't it causing you to
Yeah, you know,
stutter?
yeah, some people, the whole van life thing, I felt as though it was relatable because I kind of experienced it somewhat. Not all the time. Keep in mind, I was still driving back and forth from work to home, but there was occasions where I'd just be so beat through the middle of the week where I just didn't feel like coming home, and so that's when I would stay and sleep within the city.
There's a couple times I slept with you.
Yeah.
I liked it. I favored it. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But
And
I'm sure it was only fun because I only did it for a short amount of time. You were doing it quite often.
yeah, I was doing it quite often, and so
Yeah.
I kept it hush, didn't tell any co-workers. In fact, I met up with the co-worker afterwards, and I told him, and he was right by me, so if there's anybody that would have been able to have any suspicion, it would have been him. Yet he never had a clue.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You hit that well.
Yeah, he never had a clue. And I would do it all over again. It's not as though I look at that as a bad
No, it
bad
wasn't
episode, a bad phase.
No, it wasn't a bad phase
Yeah.
because the job was an awesome job.
Yeah, it was a cool job.
It was.
And so much so that I think to myself, would I do it again if I could? Yet whenever I do that drive, I think to myself, I can't believe I did this
Too.
for so long.
Think about that. For you.
Yeah, because it was a lot, and that's what did me in, was the drive, not the job itself. Had it not been for that commute, I would have still been there for sure.
Something that would take you 15 minutes took you almost 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah. Something that when you were coming back to pick me up, it was supposed to take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it ended up taking 2 hours just because of traffic. That's insane.
Oh yeah. It's supposed to take 15 minutes, and it would take me 2 hours sometimes. And I would try to be bright about it and think to myself, oh, I'll just take the neighborhood, and there was other people doing it too. So I could only pull that for so long.
Oh yeah, until everybody else starts doing it.
Yeah. Everybody else was doing it too. And
you would get honked at all the time.
yeah, I'd get honked
That
at
made
quite a
me
bit.
laugh so much.
Yeah.
It was fun though.
Yeah. And so, yeah, nobody ever had a clue. My drinking over me, sleeping, and yeah. It was something that you got to take into consideration, is it even worth it when it's all said and done, the drive? I only did it because I enjoyed the job, but
The job, you enjoyed the job.
yeah,
The drive.
but nobody needs to be driving
No, not
that amount of distance, because I've had other opportunities come up that I could take advantage of, but again, it's that commute that I'm not trying to do. And you would think the answer would be to me just moving into the city, but honestly, I feel country at heart, and I'm not willing to give having a paid off home and having to start over somewhere else. And you would think, well, just sell it and get another, but honestly, I'd rather not. Yeah, I'd rather not.